traders, the advice is, do what works for you.
Yeah.
And for me, I just find that I gravitate towards the short side, and yeah, it's just something that I find is more towards my personality.
Welcome everybody to another funded trader of Trade a Pool. Today, Dave is with me on the line. How are you doing, Dave?
Pretty good. How are you?
Great. Thanks for dropping by. And we'll start right from the beginning. Tell us a little bit about your trading and how did you come familiar with it?
Sure. Yeah. So I started trading probably close to 5 years ago. At the time, I was doing shift work. So I was
Mm.
just looking for a way to sort of make money, I guess, like during my days off.
Right.
Uh, so yeah, like first when I started, I had no idea of risk management or anything like that. It was more so buy something and see if it goes up or whatever. And yeah, I joined a few rooms at the time, and like a lot of them had good tips, I guess, but none really focused on risk management.
Okay.
So I went through quite a few small accounts at the time, and it's only been over probably the past 3 years that I actually had an idea of risk management. And there it's just, just trying to hone it in from there, I
Nice.
guess. Yeah.
So, and I see we will look at your dashboard in a second, but I see that you mostly like those penny stocks, right?
Yeah. Mostly I'm looking at small caps. Primarily I focus on stuff that's over $1.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, and then I'm looking like I have a certain set of criteria that I'm looking for now and something that I'm gonna short. And I guess that's really what they mean by less is more, right? So I'm not just gonna short anything just because it's up.
Yeah, so this is something really interesting because a lot of our traders funded and also on the evaluation trading those kind of stocks, around the dollar per share, and most of them like to short sell it like anyone else. And the idea is that some of them really have certain criterias that they will follow, and some others will just look for the extended move and try to short it immediately. Can you guide us a little bit about what you do, what you're looking for?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, even like as early as a couple years ago, I would do the same thing. If something's up and the chart looks good, I would short it. And sometimes I would get myself into trouble doing that.
Yeah.
So now the criteria I look for is I look at institutional ownership. So I'm looking for less than 30%
Mm.
on that, just because I find especially if it's a lower float and there's a lot of institutional ownership there, there will be a lot of games in the chart where it will break a resistance and then stuff and then come down and break a support and then reclaim, and you get all those games back and forth. And then also I'm looking for cash on hand, so I use dilution tracker to look at this stuff. So a lot of companies that have a history of dilution, a low amount of cash on hand, I'm looking for that for short. uh, I'm looking for the gap wise, I'm looking for something that's over a 30% gap for myself personally. And then I'm going through the daily chart and I'm looking at how was the reaction previously with gaps. Is it a fader history? you know,
Mm.
and then along with that, I'm looking at the levels on the daily. Is it near the daily levels? And then for a setup for myself, I'm looking at reaction of those levels or reaction of, like, say, a pre-market high. I call it a clear out, where they're
Right.
using that liquidity to sell into, to dump it, and then look at a fade from there.
Nice. That's great that you're using, the news and the technical side, and also the back testing wise when you go and see, what happened when previously it opened with a gap. That's great.
Yeah.
Great technique. What about, when you shorting those stocks? What about looking for the upside as well? Why only to go short with them?
It's just something that I'm more comfortable with. Like I do know some long setups, uh, but I just find that I just don't have any luck with it really. I just find, like if I go to short or if I go to long, like a flag setup, it'll work for a little bit and then I'll get dumped on. So
Mm.
for me, myself personally, and maybe it's a personality thing too, right?
Yeah,
So I mean, a lot of traders, the advice is, do what works for you.
yeah.
And for me, I just find that I gravitate towards the short side, and yeah, it's just something that I find is more towards my personality.
And did you've been doing it for like 5 years, as you said.
Yeah,
Have you seen, different kind of reaction or results when the market is going up compared to when it goes down? Like, there is any reflection from the market?
do you mean like just different types of markets that
Yeah,
I'm trading? Yeah,
when it's a bullish market, you have less chances to win or stuff like that.
yeah, for sure. Last year, especially, I found particularly hard just because there was a lack of range within small caps. And then there was a lot of, like a lot of down and then sideways and then reclaims to the upside.
Mm,
Uh, so with that, I found it definitely really hard to try to hold for a fade.
okay.
Uh, so with that type of market, I kind of got into using targets as well instead of like trying to wait for an all day fader. And that's something that I use in my technique now as well. So I use the 9 EMA
Okay.
and
Yeah.
I will look at a 15-minute chart and the hourly chart, and I'll use that 9 EMA on those charts as targets for myself. But yeah, going back to different market uh, like cycles, it just depends, like back and forth. I mean, sometimes it's a really bullish market, sometimes you have a lot of faders, and you just have to kind of adapt to that, right? If you see that, maybe the market isn't good for a fader, then maybe just use your target and don't get greedy with the move,
Hmm.
right?
So you staying in the same parameters or the same strategy, but you just changing a little bit or adapting a little bit your target, basically, right? You're still
Yeah, yeah,
fading.
yeah, exactly. And that's why I look for specific criteria now as well, like especially with the reaction to faders or reaction to gaps previously. Like, is it most likely to be a fader? And if it is, then that's just that much more of an edge for me in a bullish market, right?
Nice.
Like if I'm
Yeah.
if I'm trying to short everything and it's a bullish market, then I'm probably going to lose on most of my trades.
Yeah.
But if I'm looking for something that, okay, 90% in the past, over the past few years, when this has tried to gap, it's faded all day, then I'm going to short that more than a high IO stock that's held strength for a few days,
Yeah. Makes sense.
right?
All right. Yeah, those are great advices. Thanks for that. And let's go to the chart and look at some of the results that you made. First of all, I forgot to mention, congrats on that.
Oh,
You did
thank you.
it. I, I mean, you did it very well. I gotta hand it to you. First, you can see the chart here. You just started and, all the way up to the target. Nearly, I mean, tiny little pullbacks. Um, Really nice chart. Any kind of company would love to see a chart like this. And yeah, you did it. You also got the pump at the end. So basically, a pump, for those of you not familiar with it, it's basically the growth. Once you reach those parameters, we give you more funds, we give you more risk to take, and that's also a great benefit. You can always continue to grow. There is no limit. There is no limit to the growth, basically. Let's talk a little bit about those trades that you take. It took you like 2 weeks to pass the evaluation, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is again super fast. Is it the first time you're doing it?
First time for a funded evaluation. Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. Most of our traders, it will take them 3 to 5 times to pass the evaluation. So you did it within 2 weeks, first time. Of course, you have the experience of 5 years in trading, but it's really incredible to see. Anything in particular that you remember from the evaluation? Certain point when you reached that you were scared to lose the account for some reason, or to go like a big pullback, anything like that?
Uh, Not really. Just
Not
the
really, huh?
technique I kind of used for the account was, I think my profit goal was 7,800 for profit.
Yeah.
Uh, so I figured out, like I broke it down, and I'm not sure how many traders are familiar with Brian Lee and his style of trading. So I
Okay.
used like R-based trading, where I'm gonna risk a certain amount, a certain percentage of my capital, and then compound up and down. Right. So,
Mhm.
so I looked at the account and I broke it down as roughly 30 to 31 R is what I would need to make if I'm risking $250 per trade.
Mhm.
So that's the technique that I used for the evaluation, as I risked $250 per trade. And then I used my criteria for trying to short faders and low cash diluted stocks. And once I was in the money, I would add into the winner to try to get that exponential R
Right.
for my trades. So when I'm looking to add, it's going to be when I'm in the money, uh, and I will add, like a quarter more of my size. Either at spots where it rejected previously, or a spot where it's broken support, retests, and then rejects.
Yeah.
And then also I'm looking to make sure it's still extended from my targets as well. So I'm not going to add into my winner if it's already at my target or it's at a support level. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna I'm not gonna add in there. Right. So
That's amazing. Yeah, that's amazing that you have those strict rules, that you know exactly what you're doing. There are traders, obviously many traders try and go through the process of the evaluation. Some of them will get funded, some not. But eventually you can see that those that get funded are the ones that have certain criterias to enter a trade, and also to manage the trade, and obviously the risk management that you have around it. So that's great to see, definitely. And by the way, for those of you who listen right now, Dave here traded on $160,000 buying power account. How much of this did you use? Did you take advantage of the full 160, or?
oh no, I didn't come close to using full buying power, I think, while I was trading small caps at all. Because, like I said, I would just, so I have a risk management calculator that I use on Excel.
Hmm,
So I would look at my setups, and then whatever my size was for using just a $250 risk, that's it.
yeah,
Then that's what I would short with, right? So
interesting.
yeah.
So now that you got funded, are you continue to focus on those small caps? Are you willing or want to try also trading techs like Tesla, Amazon, big companies as well? Or are you still
Uh,
gonna?
Definitely open to it for sure, but primarily I'm still gonna stick to what works for me.
Yeah,
And the same thing, like now that I'm funded, I'm just gonna use the same sort of strategy with our base trading, and compound up and down. Uh, and then yeah, hopefully steadily grow the funded account through there,
yeah,
and yeah, go from there.
sounds great. So just before we'll finish, tell me a little bit about Tradepool, your experience with Tradepool. What did you like or dislike?
It's been really good because through Trade the Pool, from what I understand, I believe we trade CFDs. That's correct, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So with not needing to borrow shares and the borrow fees eating up a lot of your profits, that's been really good. Because like being from Canada, there hasn't been a lot of options for brokers. And one thing that I found from my trading and the broker that I've been using for the past few years, the fees really eat into your profits.
Yeah.
So that's been the biggest thing for me uh, as well. Like it's really good, and yeah, the platform is really good. Support has been really good as well, and yeah, I'm enjoying it so far.
Amazing. Great to hear. Alrighty, so we'll finish here. Thanks so much, Dave. For those of you guys that didn't join yet, please do go to tradeapool.com. You have 14 days free trial. Check us out, and hopefully you'll be the next one in the interview. Thanks so much, Dave. Take care.
Thank you. Have a good day.